An information system. An information system consists of people. People like us, an end user, or you as a student using a computer at home or a computer at school. You're an end user. There could be developers, those who are developing software for us end users. Okay, and there also could be admins, administrators who are administrating who can use what software, when, etc. In an information system, we also have what are known as procedures. Procedures are rules, or also referred to as guidelines for people. All right, procedures are rules or guidelines for people. For instance, you can have step-by-step instructions, etc., on how to use a particular software program. For you guys, it could be your My Lone Star. Okay, there could be pictures through our intranet, which is just web pages within our organization that tell you exactly how to use My Lone Star in terms of registering for your classes. Software. A lot of times, software and the word program can be used interchangeably. Software and the word program can be used interchangeably. Programs basically are instructions that tell the computer what to do. Okay. Programs, software are built into or are classified as either system or application. Within system, we have operating systems and utilities. As you can see here, this is a picture of Windows 10. All right, it's an operating system. And this, if you can see it, is actually an antivirus program called AVG. It's a utility. Utilities provide actions that kind of make our computer run better. Another utility could be a defrag rather than an antivirus program. All right, which defrags our hard drive, making it more contiguous so that our data isn't scattered all over the place on our hard drive. There's also what's known as application software. Application software is software that basically enhances our capacity to do something. For instance, in our book, it talks about general purpose application software. General purpose being word processing software, spreadsheet software, database software, and presentation software. For instance, with Word, that enhances our capacity to write essays. Okay, without it, we would have to write it down on a sheet of paper, and we couldn't update things easily. We couldn't move paragraphs from bottom to top or top to bottom, or simply change a sentence without having to really redo a lot of our handwritten notes. There's also what are known as specialized applications. If you work in oil and gas, you may have specialized applications that help us look at oil reserves, gas reserves, to see the health of a particular company, to be sure that they own the rights to those reserves so that you know over time they'll have enough reserves to pull out of the ground. You also have your mobile apps. I'm sure many of you use your mobile apps or downloaded and installed mobile apps, anywhere from solitaire to perhaps cool little learning games that I use sometimes with some kids I work with to kind of help them learn things on our free time, so to say. Another portion of information society or information systems would be hardware. As you can see here, the different categories of PCs or hardwares. The very first would be your supercomputer. All right. Here's your individual here. As you can see, the size of how many boxes and how much room it can take up. Now, supercomputers a lot of times can be used to, let's say if this was Texas, determine the path of a hurricane. Okay, meteorologists use computers to determine these types of things, weather patterns, etc. A mainframe can be used to be like a database for insurance policyholders, where a mid-range computer could be used to do things for a particular department within a larger organization, such as perhaps an accounting department or a marketing department or just an operations department. We're all very familiar with personal computers, hopefully. If not, that's fine because this is an intro class. With personal computers, you have different categories. You have your desktops, okay, which you see in our open labs if you ever visit our campuses. Desktop will have a system unit. The system unit is actually within this tower here. Right, you have your laptops, which are more portable. All right. You have what's also known as a tablet, and what made tablets very popular were the Apple tablets, so to say. These are, by definition, are microcomputers that are small, lighter, and less powerful than a notebook/laptop. All right, and also have a touch screen attached to it, built into it. All right, these are what are known as tablets. Another smaller category, okay, these are smaller, lighter, and as we go down, that also means that they can kind of do a little bit less, so to say. You have your smartphones. All of us probably have smartphones, which is just basically a phone that allows us to connect to the internet. All right, and by connecting to the internet, we basically have the features of here, if you can see, tablets. And finally, we also have wearables. You have your Apple devices, your Apple Watches, you also have your Fitbits, and these wearables not only do things such as what your smartphone does. In other words, they allow you to talk to one another, they allow you to text, SMS. Okay, they also allow you perhaps video capacity, but they also what? Detect your pulse. By detecting your pulse and by being a part of IoT, which we'll talk about, it has the capacity to connect to the internet, which can then connect to perhaps another database, all right, which then can compare your pulse rate to a particular demographic norm. Okay, in other words, if you were a teenager, it'll compare you to other teenagers, and if you were at a standstill rather than exercising, what should it be at? And it could beam that back out to you so that you can see it. In hardware, we have categories of equipment. First is the system unit. So the system unit is within this desktop here, this tower. If you cracked open the tower, that's your system unit. And the system unit typically houses, all right, what's known as your microprocessor, and this thing down here, memory slash RAM. In order for you to interact with it, you have your I/O devices, input, output. Your input device could be a keyboard, a mouse, your output device, a monitor, or a printer. A lot of times RAM, memory, okay, it needs to be plugged into the wall. If you unplug it, whatever was in it is gone. So you need to save it. You need to push it down into what's known as secondary storage. The old-fashioned secondary storage would be a hard drive with a platter that spins with data on it. Okay, and you have an actuator with a needle that rolls over the data to determine what you saved or what you need to save. You also have here, this is supposed to be a picture of a solid state device, all right, that works differently from a hard drive, a traditional hard drive, in that it works like a flash drive. There's no moving parts to it. And finally, the last piece is communication, like a modem, all right, that allows us to connect to the internet and talk to one another. Or within a network, you have your NIC cards that allow you to be connected to other PCs, servers, and of course to the internet. Our next category here is data. All right. Data is raw, and typically we turn data into information. Okay. We process it and it turns into information. Information is something that's meaningful and useful to us. All right. In its raw form, data can be in these particular document files. All right. Our book has a document file defined as basically a Word file of some kind. All right. Worksheet files or spreadsheets, database files for databases, Access is what we'll use for Microsoft. And then you also have your presentation files, okay, PowerPoint for Microsoft. You also have here what's known as connectivity, and the internet is another part of the information system. Our ability to connect to the internet and the web that gives us access to everything that we basically probably use our computer for today. All right. The fact that we have what's known as cloud computing, which allows users to shift what they're doing here locally on their desktop to things up there on the internet. In other words, rather than doing processing down here on my PC, I'm going to process up here on the internet, and all I need is my browser here to see the results. That's cloud computing. We also have wireless communication, our ability not to have wires everywhere and connected to everything in order to access the internet and other nodes on a network. And we also have what's known as the Internet of Things under connectivity and internet. Internet of Things known as IoT. Okay, basically it's where, said in a nutshell, it's where you have an object, and it could be something like a toaster. And then you have a processor in that toaster now. Okay, and then maybe you have a refrigerator. You also have a processor in that. so that perhaps in the mornings or when you're coming home, etc., all these devices can connect to the internet. And not only that, they can receive data from the internet. All right, meaning we'll just go on a flow here. Perhaps you have milk and it detects that you're running out of milk. So it connects to the internet, that you're running out of milk. Maybe you're over here driving home. All right, and it tells you that you're out of milk. And not only that you're out of milk, it knows where you're at because you've got a processor here in your car, and it tells you which store to go to. So it's not just sending information one way, it's sending information both ways and helping us determine what's the best route of using that information based upon, in this example, a refrigerator that says, hey, you need more milk. Should you get more milk? Where are you now? And where should you go buy it? So in summary, we talked about the information system. The information system is comprised of folks, people, all different types of users within an organization. It comprises of procedures that let the users know how to go about using the information systems that are available in our information system. It's comprised of software, all right? The procedures that we got in terms of knowing how to use the software, in which that software is categorized by system and application, and then within system and applications, there are various kinds. There's also what's hardware is involved in an information system in terms of the different types of computers that are available, to the categories of equipment within the different types of computers. Information system is also comprised of the data that we're working with, that we're going to turn into information, process into information. And it's also comprised of the connectivity and the internet access that we have in terms of our ability to connect to the web to do what it is that we need to do it wirelessly, and to have more things than just our typical computers that we're used to using, our personal computers, and having things within an inanimate object, something that's not a computer, but have a little embedded computer within it so that all these different things can work together. That is an information system.